That petition was based on a peer-reviewed study that came out by the world's leading aluminum expert and 4 of his colleagues. And what did this paper find in this peer-reviewed journal? It found that amongst 10 childhood vaccines, there was far more aluminum adjuvant in the vial, or far less in the vial than what was on the FDA label for those vaccines. So you got a label, the FDA approved label. It says it's got 0.5, let's say, micrograms, but the finding was that it had double maybe inside of it. That's a serious concern. Aluminum adjuvants are neuro and cytotoxic. They're what you use to induce autoimmunity in lab animals. Okay. They're not like candy. You know, if I just injected you with, just dead pieces of proteins, right, from a pertussis bacteria, your body would probably, the macrophages and dendritic cells would probably just gobble it up and throw it away as garbage, because to have a real immune reaction, you have to have cellular death. Okay. You have to have cellular death. And how do bacteria cause cellular death? They're replicating and killing cells. Viruses are taking over cells. But if you have just dead pieces of protein in the vial, it's not going to do much. So they include aluminum adjuvants. Aluminum is bound to silica acid in the ground. Humans did not come into contact ever with aluminum throughout all human history, for the most part, until not long ago in the scale of human history, we started mining it and separating it with silica acid. Most metals that you come into contact with in the environment have a human function, like iron, right? Magnesium. Your body has some mechanism it uses it for. Aluminum has no biological function in your body, zero. That's why when you have an aluminum can, you know how it can like survive forever and bacteria and viruses don't grow? Because it's toxic to life. Okay? People think of aluminum like as if it's ubiquitous, like because it's now ubiquitous in our, but so aluminum adjuvant having too much or too little is problematic. And the aluminum that you ingest is usually in ionic form. You know, like in the periodic table of elements, it's like tiny piece of aluminum. So if this cup was an ion of aluminum that you ingested, which, wouldn't cross the blood-brain barrier, which your body could, use its pathways to get rid of, a piece of aluminum adjuvant would be like the size of this whole city we're sitting in. Okay. On the micro scale, it's massive. So it gets injected into your arm with the vaccine it's in the vial to cause cellular death at the injection site. Okay. So that your blood neutrophils come pouring out and you have that inflammation that you see when you have an infection. It gets red, and that's your immune system working. And those aluminum adjuvants are bound to the antigens. So when your macrophages and dendritic cells, those are immune system cells, take them and go to your lymph nodes to create antibodies, adaptive immunity, right? After they're done doing that, where does the aluminum adjuvant go? Well, let me tell you. The CDC and others have done studies where they inject aluminum adjuvant into animals and then they sacrifice them. They mark the aluminum adjuvant with like a fluorescence so they could see where is it afterwards, and they can, shine it on the animal. It ends up in all their organs, their brain, their lungs, their heart, everywhere. So that's not good. Having that kind of material deposited is not good. So you don't want too much of it in a vial. Okay. I'm not saying what kind of harm. I'm just saying you don't want too much, and you don't want too little, because that presents efficacy issues. Right. And even safety issues. So the petition, all it asked for, and those might have been too much detail about aluminum, but the petition, all it asked for is said, hey, FDA, and if you read it, the ask was this: please provide documents that confirm that the amount of aluminum adjuvant in the vial of these 10 childhood vaccines matches what's on the product label. And if you can't, and you don't have that documentation, and you can't show, then pause distribution until you do, because that's a serious safety issue and efficacy issue. You're giving kids vaccines that might have safety concerns, like a shot in the dark in many ways, and also may not even be efficacious, may not even produce the immunity you're looking for. That petition was filed years and years and years ago, and still they have not confirmed it one way or another. Again, the point of these petitions was not to actually stop the distribution of these vaccines. ICANN didn't want to do that. It just wanted them to do proper safety studies. That's really it. The legal mechanism was to say, pause it, so that they then would require the science. Otherwise, there's no legal mechanism to get the FDA to do the things it should have been doing. And I would like to think we could all agree that, when you go to the store and you get a box of Captain Crunch cereal and you read the ingredients, what's on the ingredients should match what's in the box.
Right. And in the case of the third petition, it wasn't just that you showed the safety testing was inadequate. There was evidence of an actual problem. The ingredients didn't match the label.
Absolutely.
Right.
By the world's leading aluminum scientists. That's